Okay, we're going to start with just a short video, which is from the 2015 Amsterdam World Kata Championships. It's more just a short promotional video, but just to give a good feel and kata flair.
柔道の創始者である加納師範はこの弟子がたくさん増えてきて自分が実際に指導できなくなった時にこの型を作って型の修行をすることによって柔道の修行を進められました。
To be in Amsterdam for the Kata World Champions for us is the first, and it's a proud moment for us and our families.
You get this exciting feeling when you see them walking in there as well, and you actually realize you are at the top of the sport.
We started judo at 6. When you have your twins brother, you can tell more than to another partner. So sometimes we fight more than normal couple.
Seeing the draw, we are expecting medals.
It's very nice to have my friends and family here because they can support me. Kata is very important for my life because I learn to focus and to stay relaxed and to empty your head.
Maximum efficiency is the principle of judo. And after rolling 40 knots.
همه جودوکارای کشورها به ویژه اونایی که کاتا کار میکنن خیلی خوشحال هستن که هر ساله دور هم جمع میشن و همدیگه رو میبینن و این باعث دوستی میشه.
Concludiamo così questa bella avventura. Voglio dare tutto il resto del mio spazio ai giovani.
There we go. Oh, and Mo, you're on mute. You're muted, Mo. There we go.
Bonjour and hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm going to start our seminar. After going through the list this morning, I was so touched and impressed by the participation at this seminar. Just for your information, there are 70 people attending this seminar today from all across Canada. There are requests from other countries that they know our level of judo and kata in Canada to attend. But these are just for the members of Judo Canada. There are 34 people attending this seminar for purpose of certification, kata judge. And there are 10 observers. They're an individual who are interested to learn kata, and there are 26 others who are participating, which presently are certified kata judges, and they have passed certification. And they're using this as a professional development course today. With your permission, I'd like to recognize very, very distinguished guests today. That is an honor for me as a kohai to these individuals to welcome them to be here with us. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mo Oi, one of the highest ranked judoka in Canada, 9th Dan, Sensei Duncan Vagnali, 8th Dan, Sensei Jun Takahashi, Sensei Mark Berger, Sensei John Huntley, Madame Suzanne Arsenal, Sensei Gary Yamashita, National Kata Coach for Canada, Mr. Gord Okimura, and also President of Judo Ontario, Brian Carlson. These are the individuals that I have seen on the list. I do apologize if I haven't mentioned your name. I love you all, from Gary Sova to Miguel and Danielle and Steve, everybody that faces are in front of me. Welcome to this first official Judo Canada Kata Committee seminar. This committee was formed last November by our beloved CEO, Mr. Nicholas Gill, and the committee members are Mr. Gerard Poirier, Mr. Kelly Palmer, Mr. Shane Rooney, and Madam Kim Bergi-Kipe. These are the committee members, and also we have, as I mentioned earlier, our national kata coach, Mr. Goro Kimura. So this seminar, we had a plan to do it at Manitoba Open, but unfortunately due to the COVID, we postponed it, and we decided, hey, there's enough interest, why don't we go ahead and do a Zoom meeting? As you all know, there are a lot of Zoom efforts is going on across the world, and there are a couple of them in Canada. Mr. Palmer runs one on Sundays, and they are they're all very well received because we're all thirsty of being involved in judo. If you're a referee, you're a coach, you're a kata practitioner, we're all starving for putting our gi on, getting on the mat. But I guess this is the best that we can do today. The intention is to cover two different interests here. As I said, one group are here to be certified as a kata judge, and the other groups are being here as a professional development. It's just basically simply increased or remind themselves the knowledge they already have. The format of this meeting will be that we will be covering first, as you have already and you have studied, we have a document called Kata Competition Criteria for Evaluation, and you can find that on Judo Canada website or IGF. And this documentation was redone and basically added some point, updated, if I may say that, on January 1st, 2022. And we have it on our website, Judo Canada and IGF. And if you're curious, this is what the document looks like. We're going to go through this document for the purpose of this meeting. As you know, this criteria manual has two sections. Is the general elements, which discuss all elements that covers by all katas. And we get into that in details of it, what we mean by that. And also the next part is that we will be going through a score sheet. As you can see, Mr. Palmer put it on the screen. And also the most important part of it is, and this is the vision of our committee moving forward, you might not know, but the responsibility of teaching kata in Canada, it has become the responsibility of kata committee. and the provincial associations, which they will have hopefully their own kata committees, they will be responsible on teaching kata. Grading board in the past of each province and Judo Canada wasn't responsible of teaching kata. Now is the responsibility of kata committee. And our vision is that we want to teach the kata that IGF and Kodokan accept today. Today's stand-up kata is very, very, very much different than even 10 years ago. Kata is practiced and taught on I personally call high performance kata, which means is very detailed and has two sections to it. The actually learning the kata, and the other part is analyzing and evaluating the performance of the uke and tori, which we call a kata judging. Our committee has decided moving forward, we want to make sure that we teach a good high performance kata all across Canada by various bodies, provincial or national bodies, that is practiced all across the world today. And trust me, it's different, very different than the kata that some of us learned when we learned 30, 40 years ago to perform our kata for our shodan, nidan, or sandan. Very, very much different. And there's an element of evaluating those valuable points on each technique. So that's a ballpark of our effort today, which we'll be watching a video which a good friend of mine, national coach of Iran, which top 3 countries in the world as far as quality of kata and their placement on the podium. We are fortunate to be allowed to use their video for today. And we're going to mute the sound of the video because it's in Persian / Farsi, and there are a couple of people I know here that will be able to benefit from it, but the rest they won't. So we're going to for better lack of word, kill the audio, and just I will be speaking while the audios are shown. And at the same time, at each technique, we will be discussing what you need to focus on as a judge. I mean, as you both know, Tori and Uke and Nage-No-Kata, they perform their responsibilities, not only on the right side, also on the left side. So as far as judging is concerned, is the most complicated and the most difficult and the most detailed kata to judge, just for simply one of the major elements is both sides. So if you have to watch Goshin in one technique, Uke and Tori in Nage, you have to watch both sides. So it makes it much more detailed and much more complicated for a judge to judge. Because of the restriction in the time, and I promise you in the future, which we'll be running a lot of these seminars online, hopefully when we get on the mat, will be more in person. For the purpose of time, I do apologize sincerely that I will not be able to provide you Q&A unless we are fortunate and be able to finish it off before an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's my aim, 2 hours. Be able to finish it before that, maybe we can open the mic for some questions. But please, I do beg you, write your questions, and I provide you my email, which is mohdia@sampatico.ca. Again, mohdia@sampatico.ca, and I'll provide the answer to all your questions with the help of my committee members. Maybe we can divide some of the questions, and I promise you, all your questions will be answered, but not this platform. So while we're here,
Mo, I'll put your email into the chat for everybody to copy down.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Nage-No-Kata, well, is the first kata. We know that. We know that Sensei Kano believed judo has to be practiced 2 ways, and this was his dream when he established judo. Judo needed to be practiced as a form of randori, and also judo needed to be practiced on a kata. I'm very, very biased. So is my other 4 colleagues and most of you guys here today. I personally think kata should be practiced first before randori. Nage-No-Kata is the base of our judo. We have 15 techniques left and right of Gokyo, which these techniques are the major principle of our judo. And as you know, Kano Sensei have divided to 5 groups of these techniques. There are Tewaza techniques, And by the way, they're all, as you know, there are 3 techniques each group. There are tawaza, there are koshiwaza, there are ashiwaza, and there are satemi wazas, there are mao satemi waza, and yoko satemi waza. So as far as I'm concerned, all these 5 groups of technique are the major principle of Gokyo. And if we all can, in the sport of judo, teach our students or interested people in judo, the principle of the Gokyo, using these 15 techniques and teach them Nage-No-Kata, as far as I'm concerned, they all will be very, very informed judokas, because by learning Nage-No-Kata, as you all know, you learn your kuzushi, which is breaking your opponent's balance, is tsuge, which is actually movement of your feet, and also you have your kake, which how you're supposed to throw. Other katas are not as sophisticated as Nage-No-Kata. That's why it's the most difficult one, because all these 3 elements will be observed by the judges, and you as a performer, you need to follow all these 3. As judges, we need to focus on these 3 major elements, which we call major principle of the techniques, and these 3 are the key elements for a judge to watch. Of course, there are many activities going on, but the 3 principles that all toris and ukes need to be following in Nage-No-Kata is our major concern, which we will be watching for. I talked about all the 5 groups, which we will be reviewing today. And one of the major things in Nage-No-Kata is, uke is the person always attempts to get his kumikata first. Uke is an attacker. Tori in all Nage-No-Kata techniques is basically defending himself by breaking the balance, by sukure, and by kake in order to get rid of uke or disarm uke. So this is a very, very important thing to consider, because as a judge, if you see that Tori is attempting the grip, is not real, is not correct, and that's your first step of judging the kata. You must focus on uke is the attacker. Uke is the person who starts the offense. In Nage-No-Kata, it's very interesting because most of the techniques, I would say large majority of these techniques, are performed in the center of the mat. So the position of an uke and tori is very important, which are most of the techniques that are in the center of the mat. There are a couple of techniques that tori moves to the area, which I would call it uke's territory, but large majority of the techniques will occurs in the center of the mat. So that's another thing you need to consider as a judge when you're watching and when you're evaluating, or as a grading board member, when you're evaluating performance of a kata. All the techniques must be, well, as I said, large majority must be in the center of the mat. So on a general elements, if you have the criteria document in front of you, and if you don't, I'll go through it with you. But as a people who are here to get certified, you should have that document for you. Thank you, Kelly. Actually, before this one, Kelly, I'm going to go to the part of the old document, because there are a couple of things I wanted to explain. Actually, we can go through this too. It's the same thing. Central judge. We will see in the video that there are 5 judges on the Josaki table. There is a head judge, which is in the center, and there are 2 judges on his left or her, and there are 2 judges in his or her right and left. So the total of 5. The bowing, which we'll get into it when the video is playing, if you can picture it, when the uke and tori are on the floor of the shiaijo, not on the tatami yet, that's where they are, and the judges are doing their kuchiwaza, whatever they're doing, and they bow to the mat, and they come in each corner of the 10 by 10 or 8 by 8. That's the size that we require. I don't know if you have the picture of that, Kelly. If you can put that up. If you don't, it's okay. So if you can picture the contest area and a square, we will have the 2 corners that facing the josaki. The new bowing system is the tori and uke must come to the edge or a corner of the red, if I can call it a red. So basically the corner of the contest area on the opposite side of each other. And they wait there and till the center judge is ready. What is the center judge job is to make sure his colleague or her colleagues are ready. You will be exposed to, for the first time in Canada and Saint-Jean-Richelieu, to judging by iPad. We were the one that we were at the World Championship in Lisbon this year. We already experienced that. They give you iPad. We don't have a score sheet anymore. And all the scores will be done on an iPad. And at the end of the performance, will be downloaded to the scoreboard, and within a 30-second, you will see the score of the performance, which in the past used to be much longer. So the center judge is confirming with the judges on his sides or her side to if they're ready. As soon as they're ready, the center judge stands up and makes his arms straight forward and basically invites the performers, Juoki and Tori, to move forward. As soon as they do that, they bow in that corner, or they can walk. That's up to them. We do not judge their performance till they get to the edge of the contest area. If you can picture in a Shiai or Kata, they're facing each other. They're in the center of the contest area outside. So that's when we start as judges, start judging them. So as you know, they bow to the contest area. They walk in, depending on the size of the contest area. If it's 8x8 or 10x10, they take a certain number of steps to get to the behind the tape area, which the Uki and Tori are designated for them. They turn around, they bow to the Josaki. You're still scoring them. And in the case of Nage-No-Kata, they turn towards each other. They go in the Seiza position. And we're going to watch all of this in the video. And they bow and they stand up and they step forward. Now, the style of bowing is very important. This is a very, very closing and opening ceremony. They're very, very crucial. I call it free points because you haven't done anything yet or you are on the way out. So in order to get good marks, to me, it's very crucial and very important for you to make sure your opening and closing ceremony is done correctly. There are bowing process that you must go through, and which we talk about it when we get to the video. And it's very important to follow certain procedure on the bowing, and you will be marked accordingly. We talk about closing ceremony. Each technique ends with Tori. Now, if you can roll that on, the part that it says each technique ends when Tori releases the technique. So if you can picture in Nage-No-Kata, when the Uke attacks Ippon-Sui Nage right first and then attacks left, as soon as the left side landing, the kake has occurred by Uke, that's when the technique ends. So the end of the technique is when the left side Ukeme has done by Uke and they're standing up. Anything happen by accident, or they fall, they slip, or we get into some of the layer area, if their cell phone fall off their jackets or the tape for their fingers fall out, any mistake that they make after the conclusion of each technique, which is, as I said, when the Uke does the left side Ukeme and they stand up, that's when the technique ends, the points ends for that technique. So anything happens after that, you'll be deducting marks accordingly, according to the mistake, for the next technique. Each technique must be performed correctly and evaluated globally. Now, this is a discussion with a lot of international judges even. As you both know, Uke and Tori, when you're watching it, both they know that they have to perform certain tasks. And it's very dynamic kata. For you as a judge that you're watching, it's almost impossible for you as a judge. And if anybody says they watched everything and they notice everything, being honest with you, they're not telling the truth. It's very, very hard for every judge to look at the Uke and Tori and be able to see everything that they're supposed to do. What do we do then? As I said earlier, there are three elements that are principal elements. Is the kuzushi, sukure, and ekake. These are the major things you must watch. And also the realism in Nage-No-Kata is very important, and other katas also, but they all have to be, all the attacks and all the defense has to be very real. If it looks choreographed and Uke jumps and Tori steps in before Uke's attack has sort of completed, these are what we will be mostly watching for. And each judges, they have certain eye for certain things, but what is part is talking about, they have to look at globally, and that's what I meant. If you're looking as a judge for every single thing that happens, you definitely would miss, or you will lose the perspective of evaluating that technique globally, and that's what is trying to say here. Now, as you know, we score Nage-No-Kata, as I mentioned earlier, left and right, and for Kime-no-Kata, sword needs to be okay. Now, when you're carrying weapons in other katas, if you lose those katas, the mark is going to be taken off. But in Nage-No-Kata, the things you potentially will be, in trouble is that if your belt opens up. We have 3 categories of marks. We have medium mistake, we have small mistake, and we have big mistakes. And as you know, the marks are according to small mistakes are 1, and there are 2 marks for small mistakes, 2 1 points. Then we have a medium mistakes that is a 3 points, and then we have a big mistakes that is 5 points. Then we have the 2, which is called forgotten technique or major mistakes, and we will get to that shortly. Actually, thank you for bringing it up. If you can scroll up a little bit. So we get to forgotten technique. If we can talk about this major mistake, and there's a distinct difference between these 2, and I'll get into that. Forgotten technique. Well, let's talk about Nage-No-Kata. You have done Oki Otoshi. Your next technique is what? Ippon Tsunage. And you missed that one, and you go to the next technique. That's called forgotten technique, which means you missed the technique according to sequence. Now, this doesn't happen at the World Championships. Usually doesn't happen at the national championships. These are professional. Oki and Toris have been practicing together for a long time, but we have seen some occasions that does happen. If that happens, you have to mark down as a forgotten technique on your score sheet. What happens with that is when there's a forgotten technique, that mark for that technique you have missed, it goes to 0. And because it's a forgotten technique, all your marks at the end of the kata will be divided in half. So you basically, if you got a 7.5 in Haraigoshi, that will be divided in 2 because you have a forgotten technique. Now, if I can differentiate between a major mistake and there are a bunch of major mistakes, if I can go through it. Tori doesn't do the appreciated technique following the Uke's attack. So if you can read the situation, Tori and Uke start the kata on the wrong side. So the kata starts, they're on the wrong side. As you know, Uke has to be right side and Tori has to be on the left side in the of Josaki. And if this has been switched, that's when the major mistake has occurred. Losing something that is not part of the equipment. So let's say you brought a cell phone, and we haven't seen that in kata, but we have seen it in shiai, and we're just trying to be proactive. If somebody's cell phone falls off their jacket, that's basically a major mistake. And the rule for major mistakes is the same as forgotten technique. Change the order of techniques. Each technique whose sequence is modified is considered forgotten. So you're supposed to do Oki Otoshi and you start with Ippon Tsunage. And you might go back and do Oki Otoshi, but you have changed the sequence, and that's not acceptable. The next one is Uke makes some mistakes in the action and Tori doesn't move. So Uke attacks for Ippon Tsunage, and Tori doesn't move, he's frozen. Or Uke has attack and Tori notices, hey, this is not a time for Ippon Tsunage, you're wrong his attack, and Tori is not moving. Major mistake, a major mistake again. Uke makes the Tori or Uke is clearly lost, for example, and we have seen this sometimes in tournament. They're both standing there looking at each other, they're frozen. They don't remember what the next move would be. Uke or Tori takes a step forward, comes back, hesitate, and it starts again. So Uke starts the technique. He knows that's supposed to be, for example, he attacks with the Ippon Tsunage, but it wasn't turned for the Ippon Tsunage. So halfway through, he remembers, he goes back to his or her position and restart again. Tori or Uke are talking. This happens very often. I have seen at the World Championships. They, Uke and Tori, they just very quietly, they communicate with each other. That's a no-no, and it's a major mistake. I've seen that personally. Uke does a move, he's frozen. Tori moves forward and grabs it and does the throw, which again, it's a major mistake. And then the technique is performed only once on either side. So as you know, for Ippon Tsunage, we need to do both sides, left and right. And if you do a right side and you forget the left side, that's a major mistake. Now, this document, as I said, it's a few years old, but every year or two, IGF Kata Commission does changes. And as I said earlier, the new change came in on the 2022 at the beginning. And whatever you see in red, these are the things that has changed or improved or be forgotten before, and we have added. The next category of mistakes is a big mistake. Big mistake basically takes 5 points away from a score sheet. And when you have a big mistakes, that's where there are situations that they might even forget more. But 5 in a small tournaments, we trying to minimize. We don't go below 5. But these are the areas that we consider as big mistakes. The situations. Tori Uke starts the action and it modifies it before the end of their full action. Uke gets up, well, moves forward to do Ippon Tsunage, and halfway through he remembers and corrects it. Or Tori, the same thing. They want to go attack certain technique, but halfway through it, they remember and correct it. So it's not a major mistakes because they haven't gone through the whole thing. They actually corrected halfway through. And sometimes we see in the Goshin Jitsu that, you know, they get up and, or Kimi-no-Kata, you see they're supposed to get up and come beside the Tori, but they forget and they will grab their weapon before the that section of the kata ends. So if they correct it halfway, that's a big mistake. If Tori Uke, no, that doesn't apply. Okay, if Tori or Uke does the full action correctly, but the other doesn't apply the correct principle of the action, attack or technique. Again, obvious, we trying to, it has happened sometimes, Nage-No-Kata, that the Uke attacks and the technique isn't performed correctly, and that usually happens. You see that often in Okegoshi, supposed to be Okegoshi throw, but ended up becoming Ogoshi. So reverse the starting position. We talked about that, but if you correct it, can be changed. Losing a control of the belt and weapon. In other katas that we have weapons, if you drop your weapons, you lose a control of your weapon, would be a big mistakes. In Nage-No-Kata, if your belt opens up and falls apart, and it's a big mistake. If you can move to the medium mistake, when one more elements of the principle are not applied. So medium mistakes, these are the areas that we will take medium mistakes point off, which is 3 points. Stepping forward or backwards with the wrong foot. As you know, the footwork is very important in all katas, especially Nage-No-Kata. And if you're supposed to move in with the left foot, and you move in with the right foot, or reverse, you will be taking off a medium mistake. Contact with the partner during the attack without causing injury. For example, you're supposed to hit your Tori on the head, and Tori is supposed to react, but before he reacts, he gets hit. So there's no injury necessarily, but you cannot touch the Tori. Tori must react prior in order to be a defense. Starting position, the distance, very, very important. All the distances with the For uke and tori, there's certain distance supposed to be followed, and usually when that distance not followed, the technique doesn't look right and doesn't perform right. So as a judge, we need to be considered that what are the distance? Is it 2 meters? Is it supposed to be a meter? And if those distances are not followed, automatically is a 3 points. Lack of efficiency, realism, you know, our attacks and our defense have to look real. We cannot choreograph this. We cannot defend the technique before Uke's attack is completed. Completed not meaning that being hit. It's just meaning that has to go through his job, and before you react, has to look real. The throws have to look real. We cannot, as a uke, we cannot jump for a tori. If we do that, it's not real. And the next one is loss of protection or bandage. Is very clear. Judogi belt number or t-shirt. If it just opens up, it's a for your judogi. Your belt hasn't fallen off your waist, but has opened up, and you haven't noticed it. Small mistakes. These are the mistakes that we lose a discretion, a lot of them. If you read the manual, there are a lot of areas that talks about medium mistake or small mistakes. It's basically severity of the mistakes. If the kuzushi, for example, supposed to be done and is not really done completely, you see off balancing, but it's not the way it should be. Usually as a judges, we take 1 mark off. And as you know, on the score sheet, there are 2 1 mark beside each other. Can you scroll up, please? Recently, 3-4 years ago, I remember exactly, IGF took one of the marks at the bottom of our score sheet, which is called fluidity. We took that out and we basically dispersed that through the rest of the techniques. So as a judge, you are allowed to have a discretion on some of the technique. Kelly, would you please put the score sheet back up if you don't mind, please? Thank you. Yep. It makes sense to look at this.
One moment.
Thank you. Here we go. This is a score sheet. This is, as you can see, is the sheet from Olbia, Italy World Championships. On all the score sheets, and you know, sometimes the score sheet could be different, but as I mentioned earlier, we are moving to iPad internationally. We already have in Canada, our first event would be Saint Jean Richelieu or Eastern Canadian Championships is called presently. Would be on an iPad. But what you need to recognize is on the top, there's supposed to be the name of the judge. On it already, so make sure you have got your own sheets, and the name of the participants who are presenting their kata has to be on that sheet too. If you see your French is moving forward, French team, and you see your sheet says Italy, there's something wrong. Either your sheet is wrong or the fighters, they are not going in a sequence. So you need to, as a center judge, you need to recognize that. If you go through the sheets, you can see we have a small mistakes. There are 2 slots for the small mistakes. Now, on the old days, and if some of the events in Canada, we still get the sheets, you have to understand that you cannot put a cross on those squares. It has to be a check mark. So, and if you decide that the mark you just gave is not really reflexive on what you just saw, and you need to correct it. Yes, sir.
It is an X you have to put in. It's not a check mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said it reverse. It's supposed to be an X, not a check mark. It used to be a check mark before and it's supposed to be X now. And if there made mistakes, you need to fill it up and you need to initial it, and you can put the correct mark to wherever you wish. So you can see there's 2-1. There's a medium mistakes, and there's a again, this sheet supposed to be a big mistake. And then you also have a 0.5. So that's the column that we're discussing now, is that you as a judge have the discretion of, based on what you saw. For example, if you saw the kuzushi was not there, but wasn't too bad, so you can add a plus 0.5 to basically, add a little bit of value to the performance. And at the same time, you can take minus of a 5 off. So you need to indicate on your sheet, and that all will be a part of your scoring. And your numbers cannot ever be more than 10. You cannot give a 10 and a half. So there's no such a thing. And as most of you that have judged, nobody gets 10. There's no such a thing as 10 marks. I've never seen it. I don't think I ever will, which means that, perfection. And we don't have perfection. We always try to improve more. So thank you for that, Kelly. The last page of the general elements, it talks about Nage-No-Kata, and we're briefly gonna go through that. There are some column in there before we go to our video.
Yep, I'll bring that right up.
Thank you. So as a general points, we discuss generality of all katas by going through the general elements. Now, each kata has also its own general elements that as a judge, you need to be aware of. There are some specific generality that belongs only to that kata. We start the first one. Tori decides the starting position. As we know, that's not correct. Uke is always decides the starting, the technique. So if you see that when they're supposed to get their kumikata, Tori start first, that's an automatically medium mistakes for that technique. Engagement distance, distance is a medium, so you have to follow certain distances for Nage-No-Kata. I'm not going to go through all of this, you can all read it. So for example, Ippon-Sui Nage, you're supposed to have almost 2 meters, and as you know, maybe you don't, most of the technique or all the technique, when you talk about distance, they say almost 2 meters. So they're just giving that little bit gap because of some measurement differences, but the distance is always a medium mistake if he's not followed, and it describes the certain distances and certain technique in Nage-No-Kata. As I said earlier, in Nage-No-Kata, there are 3 elements you need to pay attention to. There's your kuzushi, breaking the balance, tsuki, and then kake. Now, if the movement of feet are not correctly in Nage-No-Kata, and we get into it when we get to the video is very clear on that. That would be a small or medium mistake based on the severity. And the next one, Tori and Uke, middle area, 3-step distance. So again, the distance is talks about the distance here, which is a medium. That also talks about when the attack's supposed to happen. In technique of Ippon-Sui Nage, Okigoshi, Uranage, Yukuguruma, these are the distance you're talking about is very important. And also the attack. Where does the uke attack? Is not his side, is not to his face, is right on the top of the head. And again, when we get to the video, we can talk about that a little more. The next one, Tori and Uke in the middle area, engagement distance. Uke starts to hold on the Tori with right-left fundamental grips. Tori reacts and grip and pushes Uke sideways to enable Uke. Tori and Uke steps laterally. So again, talking about the movement of Uke and Tori, which again is specific for Nage-No-Kata. The next one, Tori and Uke in the middle area, engagement distance. Step forward to stand, and Uke starts to hold on Tori. And these are the technique again. The manners that the technique supposed to start describes that. Next one, Tori and Uke on Uke's side at about 1 meter. This will you see in Tomonage, which again, these are all will be much more clear when we go through the video. This is changed. Tori and Uke want to step distance. There are certain techniques that the distance, again, important, can be medium or mistakes or small. Then the last one, technique perform direction and fall. There are, it's the kake part. You see more of this when it comes to Sotatemi Waza, Masatemi Waza, and Yoko Sotatemi Waza, the direction that Uke and Tori falls it's actually could be taking a mark off if they are landing in a wrong direction. So we went to my not most favorite part of the the book, because these are the judging part and we all have to know it, but obviously for all of us the judo is more fun part. Kelly, if you don't mind, please restart a video. As I said earlier, this video was lent to us by Zan Sensei, one of the very world-renowned kata coaches and senseis from Iran, a very good friend of mine, and he allowed us to use this video, and we will probably be using some other videos in the future for other katas. This video starts by showing the whole kata, but we're going to skip that part and we're going to go just to the opening ceremony, and we're going to go technique by technique. As I said, audio is in Farsi / Persian, so we're not going to can you freeze it right there, please? Back up a little bit. So we're going to review technique by technique. So the first part is that the opening ceremony. If you picture us being a Josaki looking at this video, it's very clear that where Tori is to position of Josaki on the right side, and the Uke would be on the left side if we are the Josaki here. Now, if you remember what I mentioned about the opening ceremony, where to start. So if you picture if the blue mats on the wall, if you can picture that being the floor, they stay there, they bow and they come on the red, and they walk and they wait in the two corner of a yellow, and they wait there. They don't have to bow anything, they can just bow, come in that corner and wait for us. Now when the center judge, his job or her job is done talking to his colleague, he or she stands up and invites them to the contest area. And if you can picture them being in that corner, they start walking. They don't have to bow, they can walk. And they come, if you see they're standing on the red, but because the area is too small, it's not really an 8x8 or 10x10. So they're picturing, if you can extend the yellow right to their toes, that would be actually the contest area. So what they're going, they're just both waiting there. And if you can roll the video, please. And I won't say anything till the opening ceremony ends. Thank you. So you saw, if you can start again from where we started, please. As a judge, you're sitting and you are basically have invited them. You don't have to do anything anymore. You just sit there, all 5 judges, and they watch the performance. So Uke and Tori, they are on the edge of the contest area and they bow. Again, because this is a sort of a teaching / judging seminar, you have to make sure the bowing is correct. If you can go back up again and freeze it, please, before the contest area. Yeah, as you can see, their hands are beside, the Uke has his hands beside him, fingers are closed, his heels are together and toes are apart. As a judge, you are watching for a few things before they bow. You actually think if their belt are done correctly, if the uniform is clean, well, you have to wear white judo gi, and all the rules of judo gi has been followed, which is according to the contest rules for a uniform. These are the things you watch to make sure while they're bowing, these things are done correctly. And the bowing happens. They go down. If you can start the video, please. Their hands move to the side. And freeze it there, please. And as you can see, they're looking approximately 3 meters away from his toe. His back is the direction, as you can see. He's not bent too far. He's actually the angle that you see. That's where he's supposed to be. His head is not bent forward. He's looking forward. His head is not bent down. He's looking forward, and his fingers are closed, and is just above his knee. That's when he's bowing. So and then play the video, please. And they move forward. They come to the contest area. They stand behind the tape area. And if you look at their feet, there's just a way to turn and play that, please. So you can see the direction of their feet. Again, they're maintaining the same feet apart from each other, and then they bow to Josaki again, which is the same manner again. They turn towards each other, and left leg first, then right. And now, if you can freeze it right here, this is very important. It's very hard for us as a judges to see, but it's something we need to be cognizant of it, and we need to teach it if you're a sensei at the dojo. As I said earlier, we're learning the kata and at the same time judging it. As you can see, their right toe, the big toe, is over the left toe of the big toe of left foot. And please play. Their hands are on their thighs in front of them, and they move forward. Freeze it there, please. Their back is pretty much parallel to the mat if they can. Their hands is slightly apart, and if I can use that expression, just would be a reverse V. So their fingers are apart, and their elbow is not on the mat, and they bow to each other. Behind the tape, and they move one step forward. This is your opening ceremony. So this is the value of 10, and any of these elements is missing, you can take a mark off, unless the really, not properly done, but usually between 7 and 8, internationally 9 also we mark for opening ceremony. So as you know, the first technique is Okyotoshi. If you can please, I'm not going to say anything till the first technique done, and then we can break it down.
Okyotoshi. Oh, let me help you. Yes, yeah.
Hi, Brian. Could you please mute yourself?
Okay, please play it. Yeah, as you can see, when they move forward, Tori moves. Can you go back a little bit, please? I'm gonna go very slowly. Sorry. As you can see, the Tori goes towards the uke, and uke moves 2 steps forward, and their distance you can see a little bit of maybe 1 meter. And again, as usual, all the techniques in Nage-No-Kata, uke attempts to get a grip and attack Tori. Please continue right to the end of the technique. Right there. This is the right side, obviously, and as you saw, uke took a grip, and Tori raises his arms while stepping forward, and the sukiashi, and during the third step, Tori pulls down. When the grip is taken by uke and Tori, uke attempts to push Tori forward, backwards, and Tori steps with sukiashi. And if you look at the feet, which we're going to see in a continuation of this video, is very important. So the kuzushi has to be followed, and the feet movement has to be correct, and then at the end the kake. Now in this technique, it's very important that direction of the Tori pulls the uke down is towards the mat, is not up in the air. And if you can play this, just look at the direction of the Tori's hand. He pulls down to his belt, if I can call it that. You can see the direction of his left elbow, and that's the direction that Tori pulls down. So again, as a judge, you need to pay attention to that. If that pull down is not done correctly, to the direction is a small mistakes. And you have to make sure, this happens sometimes in a grading, that uke thinks that by jumping it makes it pretty. To the contrary, if the uke jumps, that takes away from realism and is exaggeration, and that would be a medium mistakes. And then the next thing you need to, as a judge, you need to consider if you look at this picture, Tori needs to look forward and not looking back at Uke, not looking into his right or left. He needs to look forward, and his right hand is supposed to be exactly beside his knee. Now, if the looking forward is not done and the right hand is not properly done, that's a medium mistake. So that's how important that looking forward is. And the knee position, we can look at it a little bit earlier. So I'm not going to say anything because I covered all the judges' point of view, and you can watch the rest of the video. This was a right side, and the video is very explanatory. And at the end of the technique, I can elaborate a little more. So he's starting a left side, the same thing. Uke attacks, same pull down. Keep playing it, please. So these are the areas as a judge you need to pay attention. Look at the feet movement. The feet never comes together, and that's the principle of techniques for Ippon Tsunage. I'm sorry, the Okyotoshi that you have to pay attention to, and that's the walk that you expect. And that's a principle of that technique. Very important. The feet cannot pass each other, or they cannot be together. And as you can see, the third step is a little bit bigger than the first and second, and it stretches feet, makes a bigger step in order to perform the technique. We're going to watch it again. If you can freeze it on a left landing, please. This is the part of the end of the technique. Freeze it there, please. Sorry.
Yep.
My apology. So both on the left and the right side, you have to see where the uke lands. Long time ago, uke used to be more behind the tori. This is the direction of the landing, and that's the part of akake. So the direction of the landing is very, very important. And if you look at the position of Tori's knee compared to his front feet, this is what we call it, the triangle. And we'll show it in the next video, I think is further up, if you can keep playing it, and shows the position of the knee more. So I want to point out here, as far as the landing of a uke was concerned, where does uke land? Because of the pulling of the tori. It's a better angle. And tori holds the position of the uke. It never let it go. It doesn't loses the control there. And looking forward again, and the directional, and this is, if you can freeze it right there, please. Look at that triangle that I was talking about. His front ankle and the left knee and the toe of the left foot is created a triangle, and that's where you need to, as a judge, pay attention to. If the knee is too far in or too far out, the feet are not in a triangle position, that's the mistake that you need to consider taking a mark off. Please continue.
Oh, my video seems to be frozen. Oh, there we go.
See, uke again is not holding on to tori. Did a proper ukime and a right direction landing, and tori is still in a position of a uke. Very important elements in okyotoshi. And this is the final view of this technique, I believe. To right side. Okay, the next technique. Can you freeze it right there, please? Right, excellent. The next technique is the Ippon Suinage. We're going to play the video. I am going to let you watch the video, then I'm going to go through the judging points on Suinage. Please go ahead. So the first thing you notice in Ippon Suinage, the distance. Very important after Okiotoshi, the distance is approximately 2 meters, approximately. The first technique, obviously, in the right side, and Uke is trying to attack, and the steps you see, if it's the right side or the left, and the reverse, is trying to attack on top of Tori's head. What Tori does after Uke attacking, steps in, blocks the attack, and he performs a Ippon Suinage. Now, when the very important, the Kuzushi, continue playing, please. First is attack, and Tori blocks it and does an Ippon Suinage. We see more details of it after the rest of the video goes forward. You can see the landing is right in front of a Tori, is not to the side, and it's a very nice breakfall on behalf of Uke. So this shows where Uke is attacking, is right on top of the head of the Tori. Is not to the side, is not is going to be aimed directly above Tori's head. That's a principle of the technique. Can you freeze it right there? Actually, can you back up a little bit? I want to show the blocking also before. Sorry. Right after the attack, first you see the blocking. Now the blocking is just a little bit above the elbow. And then that's where you also, after blocking, you grab the judo gi. And then you perform Ippon Suinage. So the footwork is very important. As you can see, this is not a traditional Ippon Suinage. You're actually grabbing in the top of the judo gi, and the Uke's arm is almost stretched forward all the way. And then that's where the Tori attempts to throw. Now, this is very important in Ippon Suinage. You don't see it that often. I've seen it in the World Championship, but in a small tournament, you don't see that. And as a judge, you need to pay attention. Tori is trying to throw Uke. At the same time, Uke is defending. If that palm of a Uke is not positioned on the back of the Tori, that's actually a medium mistake. So even though Uke has done the attack, Tori is trying to throw, but at the same time, Uke is still defending, and putting his hand where the position of the back is. And as you can see, Tori doesn't go too far down, is standing right above his knee, Uke's knee, but Uke is still blocking, and we need to, as a judge, to see that, and it needs to be actually a real blocking. You have to pay attention that the realism that we spoke earlier needs to actually look real for that blocking. Please continue the video. Now, if you can see the Kuzushi as a judge, you also need to pay attention that breaking the balance of Uke. If you see it, when the Tori pulls him, Uke goes on his heel and goes on his toes. And that's when you know that the Kuzushi actually applied. Otherwise, if there's no Kuzushi, there's a 3 points. And the Kake, one of the key for Ippons, for any of the Nage-No-Kata technique is the Kake, the landing of Uke. If Uke doesn't land nicely, just doesn't, we call it actually stuck to the mat. If he is just bouncing up and down or slides forward in his breakfall, those are the mistakes that you need to pay attention, and you take a mark off for that. Now, actually, can you stop that? Can we go back a little bit in Ippon Suinage? I want to point out the stepping, very important. If you look at it, the Uke step 1, 2 is the second step that he hasn't made the third step yet, and Tori already turned in and performed. So that footwork, the number of steps that Uke and Tori takes, very important in this technique. 1, 2, and then Tori is already in. So that stepping, if it's not right, for example, for the right side doesn't move with the right foot or the left foot, if that stepping is wrong, that's a medium mistake. So you need to pay attention to uke attack, not just where he's hitting the tori or attempting to hit, also his footwork. Those are very important on behalf of uke for you as a judge to pay attention to. Thank you. So if you can freeze there. This is the last technique of Tawaza technique. The same, we're gonna roll the video and I'm gonna explain. Please go ahead. Father Guruma. Okay. If you can freeze it there. In a kata guruma, again, like any other technique in Nage-No-Kata, uke attempt, if you can back it up, please. Uke attempts to get a grip first, and again, pushes tori backwards, and uke takes 1, 2, 3 steps, and then the kuzushi. So the first step, it's normal kumikata. He's pulling uke forward, left or right side, doesn't matter. And then on the second step, his hand goes inside. Now, can you freeze it there, please? This is a very important part. Where uke tori is grabbing, it's a key element for this technique because that's where you have the most power for a kuzushi. So if the grip on the sleeve is not where it's supposed to be, it would be a small mistake. Some people grab in the elbow area, some people grab almost on a forearm. So it has to be where you see on the picture, which is just above the elbow. I would say probably a tricep. So he has switched his hand in and he does the next step. And then this is where the kuzushi, can you stop there, please? You can see tori doesn't go in, and that you see that in some of the performance. Uke, tori doesn't go in, pulls uke forward, and you can see how off balance at this point uke is. And you as a judge, because where you're located, a couple of things you need to pay attention here. The location of tori's head. Tori has to go in and basically place the back of his head right to the hip of uke, or where the belt is. That's probably the best way to you to look at it as a judge. If the head is right where the belt is. If it's above the belt, that's not correct. That's not a kuzushi. Or if it's lower, again, is too much of a bending. So that pulling arm pulls off balances the uke, and then tori places his upper body inside and does a squat. Now, if you look at it where the tori's left hand is not grabbing that pants, is just basically holding the leg. Please continue. And he straightens up, and then on the right side, as you can see, the closes his leg, and this is very important. Tori uke needs to be straight on the back of tori's head. Now, uke is not a stiffing his body, is not over exaggerating this straightness, because that also is a medium mistake. So if uke is too much stiff and too stretched out, and is we call the banana shape, if you can recall the way that we do in Nage-No-Kata uke, you can't have that. It has to be straight on his back, and you can see the uke tori's right arm is stretched right out. And please continue. And then he throws. You can see the direction that uke lands is not behind him, is not front of him, is right to the angle. And as you can see, tori is still has the possession of the uke, hasn't let him go. If you let him go, that means you lost the control. Now, the technique, the stuff that you need to, the points that you need to pay attention in kata guruma, tori changes his grip on the sleeve on a second step. So these are the points, if you can freeze it right there, please. I'm just reading off the manual. Tori changes his grip on a second step, so you have to pay attention to that. And the third step has to be bigger because of the kuzushi part. And if you don't see a bigger step, that's actually a small to medium mistake. Again, as I said, for stiffing the leg, uke, if it pushes himself too far, exaggerating, that's a medium mistake. And you can see the third step, how much larger the third step is. And then kuzushi, Tori pulls that arm up and it places his head, as I said, where the belt is, and he grabs the thigh just above the knee, and he's squatting up, and then he throws the uke right in an angle in front of him. You can see how much that stretch it happens. And as a judge, you want to pay attention to that kuzushi. And again, see flat on the Tori's back is not over exaggerated. It's not a banana shape. It's just a nice straight body. And this is, if you can continue freezing here, this is, you know, I've been asked that question. What am I going to do as a uke with my left hand? Just rest it there. You don't want to be stretched out. You don't want to be, you know, hanging in front of the body of a Tori. Just rest it there. That's a perfect position for your left hand to be. And throw. This is showing that if the pulling the arm doesn't happen, what can happen to Tori in actually the real fight. Again, Tori is not holding that leg, just controlling it, not grabbing the pants. Okay, the first set is finished. As we all know, uke and Tori goes to their position. They're simultaneously after fixing their gi, and that itself has a way of doing it. You can, as uke and Tori can decide. Some people, they do back, front, and the belt, or reverse, whatever you want to do. You fix your gi, and simultaneously they turn and they face each other. The next sets of techniques are going to be a koshiwaza, and the first technique is the okegoshi. So if you can play, please. If you can freeze it, please. Very difficult technique. The distance, as you noticed, it's approximately 2 meters. Again, as usual, uke attacks. Can you please go back on the right side? If you can start it again. Sorry, Kelly. So the attack. Again, the attempt that uke is making is trying to attack on the top of the Tori's head. As you know, this is a very, very sensitive part of human body, and if it gets hit up there, it's concussed. So Tori, trying to defend himself, he moves forward, and very important, he lowers his body a little bit, and he places his left shoulder under the armpit. This is very, very important. If he doesn't, he's gonna get hit. And he's not completely turned because, as you know, it is a okegoshi technique. So he grabs the just above the elbow area or elbow area, and he, continue playing, please. And then in a direction and diagonally, he throws in that direction. Is not in front of him. The next important thing is when he moves in, places his shoulder under the armpit, he needs to grab uke all the way around. As a judge, you need to pay attention that is the arm wrapped uke inside and is a complete control, and it's the body is like a T shape. He's not completely, upper body is not turned, he's in an angle, Tori's body. And he's a complete control, and he doesn't let uke go. He holds uke with both hands. again, attack is very important for uke. Both left and right side is 2-step. And if that is not followed, is actually a medium mistake. So you have to make sure there's the distance. And if the distance is not followed, that 2-step will be difficult. And sometimes they adjust it, but you have to, as a judge, pay attention that there are 2 steps. Please continue playing. Okay, can you freeze it there, please? So sometimes it happens that in the technique that Ukegoshi, Tori turns all the way, and Uke lands in front of him. Now, if the technique is not Ukegoshi, it's actually a wrong technique. It's a major mistake. Now, if the body of the Tori is okay and the landing is not exactly in the right direction, you can take mark off. But if the Ukegoshi becomes Ogoshi, that's actually a big mistake, is a wrong technique. So we need to be cognizant of that. And it's a very difficult technique for Uke and Tori to make sure the landing is an angle. So the next Koshi technique is Haregoshi. As usual, the steps are very, very important. Uke attempts to grab and Tori pulls him. As you can see, the first step is normal. The second step, the Tori's hand let the collar go, and it goes. Can you freeze that there, please? And it goes behind Uke's back. Where the position of the Tori's hand needs to be palm down on the shoulder blade, and actually that's where the kuzushi come from. And that's where, if you don't see that position of the hand where the shoulder blade is not a right kuzushi. So also, if you don't mind, pay attention to the footwork in this technique. Again, like any other technique, has to be a correct footwork. So the shoulder blade is very important. If that hand is not positioned at where the shoulder blade is, it's actually a medium mistake. So on the third step, when Tori turns, is very important. Again, is on a third step, and the kuzushi is very important. You can see how Uke has come on his toes, so it has to be a real kuzushi. And then Tori sweeps sweeps the Uke's leg. Now, if you notice that the leg exchange is the Haregoshi, it's a Koshi waza. So it's a lot of hip control there. He's not bending too much. Is the leg of the Tori just does the sweeping. That's what is a Koshi waza. You have to, Tori has to show the control on his hip. He's basically have loaded Uke on his hip. He's not bending in order to make Uke off balance. Complete control there. You can see how stretched the body of a Tori is. Okay, the next technique, Suriko Migoshi. Again, another Koshi waza technique. Please play the video. Please pay attention to Tori's foot. Tori does 1, 2, and a third step, he turns in. That's the first very important point, that the footwork. And then look at the kuzushi, that the second, after the second step, Tori's hand has turned, pulls the sleeve up. That's the left side. And then he turns in, and he doesn't go too low. The back, the Uke's back, it never goes below the knee. Is on the thigh of Uke, and the kuzushi is up and forward. We have to make sure in this technique that Uke doesn't come on his toes before he is broken balance. Sometimes you see the Uke is over exaggerate and they go on their toes. And also important that the defense for Uke, as we always see Uke as a defend, Uke stretches his stomach up and he stretches backwards in order to defend himself from being thrown. So these are the elements that you need to pay attention. So uke needs to be leaning back when before the tori throws. That's his reaction. If you don't see that, it's a medium mistake. And also we have to make sure that tori, we see that tori doesn't go below the thighs. So it's not too low. And also about the heels. The heel doesn't go up till the complete off balancing has occurred. You can't over exaggerate. As soon as tori turns in, you go on your toes. Is actually the balancing has to be broken. The kuzushi is upwards, the balancing pull forward, and you can see the body of the uke, how is being pulled up and forward here. And that's where the kuzushi is. So thigh is very important, making sure tori uke doesn't go on his toes too early. So if you can freeze it there, please. So the uke and tori, they finished kushiwaza. They're going back to the technique ashiwaza. Again, there are 3 techniques here. Please, akuri ashirai. So they come in the center. If you can freeze it there, please. They come in the center. The distance is almost a meter. Their distance, their kumikata they get. Again, uke attempts to grip, and this time tori is going to take him to the side. So the first step to the side is a step, but there's no speed to it. And the second and the third step need to be a gradual speed increase. At the same time, it's very key that you see the movement of the toris trying to gather ukes inside his body, and that's where the kuzushi come from. So the elbow in, the third elbow is of uke is completely inside, and the sweeping the tori is forward. The uke doesn't land in front of a tori because the direction is throwing forward. As you can see, perfect control by tori, very key. You can't let it go. And where uke lands is very important. Now we can look at the footwork. So the first step and the second and third is faster. And then you can see where the foot, it gets swept forward. And the direction of the tori's hand is supposed to be following the sweeping. So your kuzushi has to be continuous moving forward. So tori must change the rhythm and apply the kuzushi. If any of them is missing, and the applying kuzushi, as I said earlier, is collecting the elbow, and the rhythm has to be speeding up as the steps move forward. And if these are missing, is a medium to small mistakes. Now, the sweeping is very important. As I said earlier, it has to be horizontally. It cannot be up. So it's the same direction as uke is moving horizontally across the mat. That's where the sweeping has to happen, and the kuzushi has to be continued. If there's no kuzushi and the sweeping is not across the mat horizontally, can you please freeze it there? Uke would land in front of tori, and that very clear indication of either kuzushi was missing or the horizontally foot movement or sweeping was not happen correctly, which again could be anywhere from a small to medium mistake. So next technique, please. Sasai Tsurugumiashi. Not an easy technique. Please pay attention to footwork, very key for you as a judge to watch the footwork. So first step, second step, and then tori goes to the side. The third step, move to the side and places his left foot on the right side, places in front of a uke while he's pulling the kuzushi. If you can see, the second step kuzushi comes up and his kuzushi continuously forward, and he blocks, if I can call the blocks uke's foot, and he throws him. So there are a couple of things very important: the switching the hand, the kuzushi here, the stepping of a tori, very key, and you can see the placement of the foot by tori, and also kuzushi. You can see the kuzushi is up and forward to the same direction that uke is moving forward, and the elbows are not tucked in, elbows is right up. So Tori is trying to stretch and open up, and you can see his elbow. Actually, that was a perfect picture. Can you back that up, please? You can see the kuzushi on the left side of Tori, how the elbow comes up, and right there. This is very key, and you as a judge will see if the kuzushi is done right or not by paying attention to that elbow. And then the footwork, he has to clear, and then he places foot, and the kuzushi continues till uke lands in front, and the control is complete. He doesn't let go. He doesn't lose his balance, because as you know, if you lose your balance, you lose mark. So after the second step, Tori is the key to move diagonally, needs to clear the space while he's pulling kuzushi. If that footwork doesn't done properly, if the clearing is not done properly, as you can see in this video, it would be a medium mistake. So has to clear with his right foot a step to the side, place with a kuzushi, and throw. And that pivoting is very, very important. So Tori needs to pivot. And if he doesn't pivot and just the kuzushi and the foot, the uke will not land. So pivoting by Tori is very important. And that also, it's a medium mistake. So the elements you need to pay attention, the footwork, the kuzushi, and as usual, kake. There's no difference than any other technique. It's just the way it's done differently. Control is the key. So the next technique is uchimata. So as you saw, uke and Tori, they come to the center and they meet each other in the center. They step forward. Okay, very key that everything happens in a center. We had long discussion, almost 1 hour discussion in one of our seminars, the direction of the hand of a Tori. And we allowed ourselves with Kelly, allowed us to, we use the expression of biggest steering wheel, like a bus steering wheel. So the arms of a Tori, the elbow, it's never in, it's always above his body. And that's the kuzushi that he needs to do. He steps and his foot, watch the Tori's foot. That foot doesn't move too much and it stay in the center. And the last thing is that this is not a, this is a ashiwaza technique. Uchimata is not a goshiwaza technique. So it's very important that Tori doesn't load uke on his hip, because if he does it, if too much, it actually becomes a goshiwaza. It's a rotation of the arm, and the kuzushi that moves causes the Tori to move, and then as you can see, hits the thigh of the leg that has a step forward, and that's where it makes the technique an ashiwaza, not a goshiwaza. And that's where exactly he hits. It's not in the middle. It's not a traditional uchimata that he hits in the center. Is actually hitting the thigh, and that's very clear picture. Now, another key element in uchimata is the landing of uke. If it's the right side, look at where josaki is, and uke lands on a diagonal on the left side if the throw is done right. And if the throw is done on the left side, the uke lands the right side of the josaki. And this landing is a clear indication to us as a judges that that circle was done properly, enough, not too much, was not exaggerated, and was not too small. That direction of the land, the uke, tells us a lot about the kuzushi of the Tori. Again, kuzushi is arm up, circle of movement, and he keeps pulling. And while he's pulling, he's closing the space. So this is a key element. You cannot start from the same distance, uke and Tori, from each other, and the last step, you're the same distance still. Every time, can you go back again, please, to the uchimata? Every time they circle, Tori brings the uke closer and closer and closer. And at the third, his right have loaded it. So the key element is the horizontal arm, as I said, is like a bus steering wheel. The Kuzushi is horizontal, elbow cannot bend in. So that's a key element. If it's not a horizontal elbow, can you please freeze it there? If our elbow is not horizontal, it's a medium mistakes. Also, which leg do the tori actually kick? Is the advancing leg. So if it's both legs or if it's in the center, that's not a ashiwaza technique, and you actually is a medium mistake again. So you have to make sure on advancing leg of a uke, that's where you sweep, and that's where the sweeping is outward, and the landing is also very important on behalf of uke for you to show. Now the next technique, can you please freeze it there? The next technique, which we are going to the category of sotemi waza, masatemi waza, the first three technique, which is tomonage, oranage, and samigaish. Now, when this video was done, the rule was not changed. Now, for tomonage, and actually tori needs to move in to uke side 1 meter away from a center tape. If you can look at this one, this is not a 1 meter. So tori needs to go further in on the new regulation. And if the is not done properly, you actually take a mark off, and that becomes a distancing issue. So we see the technique now. So tori moves into uke side, and with ayamiashi, tori pushes uke backwards. That's the movement, the pushing backwards. And the balancing, breaking the uke's balance is backwards. So at the third step, you see there that uke resists, doesn't want to go being thrown backwards, because his presumption is that he's going to be thrown backwards. So he resisted forward, and that's when the tori switches switches his kumikata and brings the grip in, and this you can see is moving. Can you freeze it right there, please? So this is where uke is resisting, not going backwards anymore, and he or she wants to move forward. Tori tricks him. He brings his grip forward and his kuzushi up and towards him, and he bends down and he places his left foot, right foot, whatever the side is, in uke's stomach, and he actually does a masatemi waza. The knee bends, very important to get in, pulls in, hands are inside, and places his right foot in the stomach. And there are a couple of things on behalf of tori is very important, is that his foot movement, the breaking balance backwards, uke resistance, tori is changing his hand. Tori has to change his hand, has to lower his body. The kuzushi has to be seen upward, and he comes in. You can see there kuzushi, and if any of those missing is a medium mistake, kuzushi is not there. And tori puts his right foot and left foot inside against the stomach and actually does the throw. And very important for us as a judge to see, when the kuzushi happens, we want to see uke on his heels. And that's one of the way that I know that the kuzushi is done properly or not, that when the balancing is broken, you have to see uke coming on his heels. And that's where you know that the kuzushi has done properly. And if you don't see uke on his heels, means the kuzushi was done not efficiently and correctly. And that's where you take the marks off. Can you please freeze it there, right there? So very difficult technique. As far as kuzushi is very different. The reaction as a judge, you want to look at the footstep, the kuzushi backwards, the resistance of a uke from the last step going back. He leans forward. Tori changes his hand, grabs the both lapel. He moves his body in. He puts his foot inside, kuzushi upward, and then he sits and he throws. And the direction that also Tori is throwing sure it's and also can you freeze that please? Up, it's very important. Sometimes you see Uke losing his balance while he's getting up, or when he lands or slides forward. Those are not the things we want to see as judges, and actually you take mark off. They're not big marks. You don't take a medium or small mistake off, maybe, you know, small, maybe even half a point. If there's a sliding happens, istakake is not done right, that's where your discretion comes and you can take a mark off. Okay, the next technique, Oranage. Oh my God, tough one, very hurtful, very difficult technique to practice. Poor ukes, and most ukes don't like this technique. So in this technique, you can see uke and tori approach each other, and uke attempts to attack tori. Again, as usual, his attempt is to attack where it hurts the most. Tori steps in. I know you see more. I'm gonna stop talking and you see more details on the video, then I'll describe. The distance, important. The attack is important. Tori moves in. The position of Tori's legs is the key here. That's where Uke is attempting to attack Tori. Tori lowers his body. He places his shoulder under Uke's shoulder on the armpit, wraps the back of Uke like that and pulls him in. He's very tight in that position. It has to be wrapped around. And we'll see the position of the Tori's hand. That's where can you please freeze it right there? Uke hasn't made the last step yet. He's moving forward and Tori attempts in, lowers his body, places his shoulder, and very close, wraps Uke around by grabbing his waist very tightly. The position of the legs are very, very key to this technique being done properly. You can see Uke foot moving forward, foot is between Tori's leg. And can you freeze right there, please? Very, very self-explanatory technique, picture on behalf of a Tori position. You can see the face of the Tori. Tori will not be able to look on the body, like the face has to be turned. That's very key, and you can see as a judge, that arm has to be wrapped around the Uke's body, tight, and the position, the position of the Tori's hand is very, very important. Is just on the stomach. It cannot be above the belt nut. Is just on the stomach and pushes up. So wraps it in, pushes the hand. That's where the kuzushi of the hand inside is. Pushes the uke up, and the throw happens. Can you please go back again? One thing I want to mention is the direction that in Oranage, Tori looks. The two-step again is a key, like very similar to Ponsunage. The two steps, if there's more than two steps or less than two steps, there's a medium mistakes. Arm around the waist is the key. And also the position of the hand of a Tori is the key also. It has to be on the stomach because that's where can you please go back, freeze it right there. I just want to show you the face of the Tori. Sorry, Kelly. Right there, you can see the direction of the Tori is looking behind him and to the side where the landing happens. And paying attention and looking while he's throwing, and landing on his shoulder. Very clear on that one. You can see his back, lower back, and a full back. He's not on the mat. Is flat-footed on both feet on behalf of a Tori, and he's on his shoulders. That's where the throw happens. And the landing of Uke, the left knee is up, and a nice break fold, and the direction of the arm is very clear. One of the things that I always say to the athlete is, hey, if you don't show me, I didn't see it. I have to see it, and it's your job to show me. So this tori shows very clearly the position of, can you please freeze it? That shows the position of the hand after the throw, where each hand was, wrap around the back, hand in the center of the stomach, and the throw happened. Okay, the next one, Samigaish. They both come in. Tori again is in the part, that section of the uke's area. They go in a jukatai, very, very important. That is not too low a jukatai, not too high a jukatai, has to be a proper jukatai right there. Tori grabs just above the elbow area outside, and actually we can see it in this picture better. You can see they're grabbing, they're stepping in jukatai. Freeze it right there, please. Sorry, just freeze it right there. Go back a little bit. Thank you, right there. So you can see the position of the hand in the jukatai. You can see the width of the feet, the feet apart. You can see the left hand of, this is the right side, obviously. You can see the left hand side of the tori just around the elbow area. You can see the right hand on, again, a shoulder blade. That's where the kuzushi comes from. And tori pulls uke, the first step. Can we go back again? So they're stepping in, he pulls him with the right hand, push him to the right. Can you freeze it right there? That pulling to the right, it has happened by tori. Uke resist, it wants to come back up. And this is where the key for this technique happens. Tori is in the center. You can see the position of the tori. He is pulling towards him in the center, and his weight is backwards. We usually, as the judges, we like to see in a slight, maybe a second of two, stop here while the kuzushi is happening. The pulling happen. You can see easily uke going on his toes, and the tori goes inside and plays his foot and the body of a tori, and you can see is just above the knee in the thigh, and he pulls and he throws, and he keeps his foot up to show the direction of throwing. Down to the left side, the same thing, opposite side, kuzushi to the side, uke resists, want to come in the middle, lean forward a little bit, and tori goes down, and a kuzushi backwards. We see it more clearly here. Jukatai, arm of a tori behind the shoulder blade. You can see just above the elbow on the left arm of the uke. He pulls uke to the right side and in the center, and he throws. And you can see his shoulder, tori's shoulder is completely on the mat. Now, the key here is that tori is doing, very important here, tori is doing all the unbalancing, because that's where the kuzushi comes from. So tori pulls him to the side, and uke wants to resist. He wants to go back. And any of that kuzushi is missing and is not in the right direction or is not enough, that's a medium mistake. And uke wants to keep his balance, and he doesn't want to go. And very important to demonstrate that. And that also shows to the judges that actually his tori is doing the kuzushi and a breaking off balance. And then that's where the throwing will happen. So if there's no kuzushi, if the uke doesn't go on his toes and is not no pulling, again, is no kuzushi. And also the landing, which is the kake part, is very important. There's no sliding on behalf of a uke. Tori shoulder down and looks back, and you can see how clearly and how nicely this uke stands up, and that's what you want to see, and that's what the completion of the kake is. The next tick, we show it again, pull to the side, resist, and throw. And you can see the hip and the buttocks of the tori comes off the mat. And that's another thing as a judge you want to see, that is a clear indication of this actually is a Maosatemi waza. The next technique is a yokogake. They fix the gi. As usual, they come in the middle, and the tori goes to the area of a uke, the contest area, and the stepping occurs. So tori unbalances uke by tilting him over. This is where the tilting happens. So they're stepping backwards, and every step, tori is collecting uke more and brings the elbow of a uke more inside and pulling him towards himself. So the first step, pulling, the elbow closes. Now, can you freeze right there? Sorry. Now, right there. This is the key. This is where the technique, you can see the yokogake is done correctly. That from the moment that this step, every step, tori brought uke more inside and off balancing him by keeping his elbow inside. And the last, just before the gake occurs, you can see the elbow of a uke is inside. You can see uke on his toes, and that's where the kuzushi has happened. After this is all the gake part, which is by tori clearing the foot, and he places and hits where the ankle bone is. And the landing is also in this technique very, very important. They need to land beside each other, and is a yoko setami waza. They have to land on the side, and we can see the footwork here. 1, 2, and then tori pulls, and uke is on his feet completely off balanced, and that's where they're gone on their toes, and we need to see that. That shows the kuzushi, and you can see where uke actually does the gake. So uke is already going because there's so much off balancing happens, and this is where, and the elbow is completely inside. And you can see where the gake happens. And can you freeze it right there, please? Oh, sorry. Yeah, right there. This is where the landing happens. You can see tori is completely on his side. It's a little bit difficult for us as the judges to see this landing, but you can see uke on his back completely. His toes are up. Very important for tori to have that knee off the mat. That shows leaning inside, and also he still has a full control of a uke, and that's the direction of the landing. You can see the overview. You can see the landing on this part of the video much better. Yeah, right there. So this is the direction that you want to see, that tori is leaning towards uke because of the direction of yoko setami waza. Right there. Can you freeze it there, please? Sorry.
Oh.
No problem. Right there. Again, on the left side, you can see a full control. Uke on his back, the knees up, and tori will never let uke go while they're landing, and then they get up. Simultaneously, they get up. One doesn't get up, and the other one is still sitting. They get up simultaneously. We're going to see the technique again. So tori comes in to the uke's area, pull, stepping, elbow in, off balance, and does the gake, and they land. So the important thing for judges is see the landing, which corner they're landing. The half a step that tori makes is first step, second step, and the third step is a half a step, is not a full step. And also, the bodies have to land beside each other. If the landing is not done properly, it's a principle. Can you please read it? The landing is not done properly means one of the principle is missing, and the principle is a gake. So we take it 3 marks off if the bodies are not landing beside each other, which is a gake part is missing. Ankle bone is very important. Sometimes they get too excited. It's a very difficult technique. You see a lot of anticipation by uke trying to land softer, or tori is holding him up. trying to not be as hard as possible, but these are the things as a judge you can pay attention to. Where is the gake happens? If it's almost to a shin or a calf area, or is actually the ankle bone. Do they land simultaneously, or one land before the other one, and the landing on the side? These are the key elements. Very, very difficult technique to perform and very difficult technique to judge. So next technique, please. Yokoguruma. Uke is always in a position of attacking. He has seen that he attacked before and he was thrown by Sumigaish. So this time he wants to actually do something else. So Uke is attacking. Tori goes in. Can you freeze it right there? The position of the Tori's leg is exactly as before, which is the same as Uranage. Sorry, I said Sumigashi. It's Uranage. So the reaction of the Tori is the same as Uranage. Wraps the right arm around the waist. The hand goes inside where the stomach is, the opposite hand. But Tori, Uke doesn't want to be thrown again the same way he was thrown before, which was Uranage. So what he does is he pushes the opposite shoulder down because he doesn't want to be thrown with a Mausatemi waza. And Tori reacts by bringing his leg forward and throwing on a Yoko Sotemi waza style. So this is an action and reaction technique. Uke is attacking. Doesn't want to be thrown the same as Uranage, but Tori is reacting exactly the same way. Please play. So the attack is the same as before, above his head. Tori goes in, the same as Uranage, and the position of the feet. This time, can you go freeze on the part? Now here, as a judge, you need to see that. If that pushing the shoulder does not happen, is a medium mistake. It's a principle of a technique, because the reason Tori goes and make this instead of Mausatemi waza to Yoko Satemi waza is because of that shoulder. So if you look at it, the shoulder of a Tori is on the right side is being pushed down. It's not just lowering his arm down, Uke, on behalf of Uke, is actually pushing that shoulder down. And by pushing that shoulder down, allows Tori to do a Yoko Satemi waza and throw it on the side, because that shoulder is down and he uses the other shoulder to throw. And also the direction that Tori looks continues on a Yoko Satemi waza. So the direction of the Tori also shows this is a Yoko Satemi waza, not a Mausatemi waza. Now, this part is very important as the judges. We need to pay attention. Again, direction of the foot also is an indicator of Yoko Satemi waza. And you can see your left foot is on the blade and the right foot is flat. Why the right foot is flat is that this is where he gets his strength for a Tori, his power. By pushing, can you play it? By pushing on that, here we go. By pushing that, bringing that leg forward and pushing it, and that's where his power comes from. So the landing has to be diagonal. If it's not a diagonal, is not a Yoko Satemi waza. Tori must follow the Uke on his landing, very important, and his direction of his arm supposed to show that. And the pushing the shoulder. These are elements that you want to pay attention for Yokoguruma. Watch that a sliding foot. I didn't mention that much. That's where the difference between, can you please back up? That's where the difference also Uranage is the footwork. So the leg of the Tori slides inside, and that allows to lower his body and do a Yoko Satemi waza. Can we see that again, please? I missed mentioning that. So the sliding the foot is the key. So that's Uranage, and he switches by shoulder being pushed out. He switches and he slides that leg in. And you can see the right leg here. That's where the power comes from. The other leg is completely gone inside, doesn't have any strength, and the strength of a throw comes from the foot that is still flat. One more time. You need to see that as a judge. That is sliding foot, the pushing with the power foot. We need to see that. And these are the key elements. The next technique is ukiwaza. Again, we're going in jikutai. The same, similar as sumigaishi. The same position of jikutai. The hands are the same. Both hands for tori and uke. The shoulder blade just slightly above the elbow. The same unbalancing occurs on a jikutai position. If it doesn't happen, there's no as medium or small mistakes. Uke moves forward and tori pulls, and instead of going like before, like sumigaishi, he actually pushes him to the side. Watch this one, a step, pulls in, and then he puts his outside foot out while he's pulling. And the key here is that the position of the tori's leg, when he's stretching it out, is bring it as close as possible to the foot of uke. And we see on the next video that how key that is. So the jikutai, kuzushi by pulling the hand and the elbow. The tori, uke wants to come back. Tori brings him back. Kuzushi on the opposite direction because uke was resisting going on that side. Is coming this side. Tori clears, opens his leg. So kuzushi. And you can see the foot of the uke. So tori is, the key is that position. Tori needs to demonstrate that he's blocking the foot. While he's pulling, he's almost in the control, full control of the tori's foot. So that's where his leg needs to be stretched out. Not before the leg. So the foot needs to be basically hidden under a thigh of a tori. And uke resists. Tori brings uke back, stretches out. And again, yoko satami waza, tori goes on his shoulder, he throws, he shows with a directional with hand, is yoko satami waza, his shoulder comes up, otherwise will not be yoko satami waza, he can throw. And the landing of the uke, as I said earlier, is right on, nicely up without losing a balance. So the first step, very key on this technique for tori, breaking the balance. Uke resists, wants to come back in. He moves forward. The uke moves forward with his jikutai. Tori steps outside, blocks the foot, and on a 40-degree angle landing. So uke lands on a 40-degree from the body of tori, right there. And he gets up. And the direction that tori is looking is the direction that uke actually went. So the kata ends. Now we're going to work on the last mark, which is a closing ceremony, which is 100% opposite of the opening ceremony. They fix their gi. Thank you, Kelly. They fix their gi simultaneously at the same speed. They turn around again simultaneously. They step back. They go back to their position that is started. So they go on a kneeling position again. They do a seiza bow. The back is straight. The hands are the same direction. They get up, toes were the same. They turn around. They bow to joseki. They don't bend too much. Their bending is almost the same as each other. They turn around. They step back. They go on the edge of the yellow, which would be where they're standing. They bow to the contest area. Now, if you can freeze it right there, please. Now, there are a few ways that international competitors, they went back to where they started. Some people, they turn around after this, they turn around, face to joseki, walk backwards. Some of them, they turn their back towards joseki and walk back. So under the new rules on the general elements, it talks about after bowing on the closing ceremony, when they go outside the contest area, thank you for playing that again. So they bow, they stand up, turn, they bow to the joseki, they turn to each other. They step backwards, go to the edge, outside edge of the contest area. They bow to the contest area. Now here, the new rule says you turn your back towards Josaki, and you walk out. So continue playing, please. I don't know if it shows on this video. I don't remember.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so they bow to the contest area. They turn their back towards Josaki, and they continue walking to outside edge. Thank you very much for your patience. It's my first time doing Nage-No-Kata on the Zoom. It's not easy. It's very, very, very different. Gary is smiling. Thank you for your support. He knows what exactly I'm talking about, because it's so hard trying to get your head as an instructor, plus as a person who's reviewing the video, paying attention to the video points, and also looking at your notes on our elements. I'm grateful for Kelly's assistance. He's I call him my IT sensei. So Kelly is our IT sensei. And I don't know, there's this 30, I think his question on the chat. Kelly, do you think we can answer a couple of those?
One or two. I think we're a bit over time, Mo, so we probably shouldn't be spending a lot of time on questions.
Yes, we are. So please, you choose the two points, the two questions that you want. And I promise you, as I said earlier, we are going to, as a committee, review it. And if you have any future questions about anything in regards to kata, as a sensei, as a competitor, as a provincial association, please don't hesitate to contact me or any of the committee members about anything relates to kata. Gladly to provide assistance to you as best as we can. And go ahead, Kelly, please pick two questions.
Well, the one question that just came up, of course, which is topical, want to know, will the recording be made available to everyone? The answer is yes, because certainly you'll be wanting to review any things either before you do the exam or later on. So yes, it is. I think just one general point we talked about before. The exam, for those of you who are doing it, this is an exam on judging kata. It isn't necessarily the same thing as your knowledge of kata or as your ability to perform kata. And you find that there are two quite different things. As Mo talked about, judging what a small, medium, or big mistake is and seeing the mistakes is quite different than being able to teach someone to perform the kata. So please do spend the time studying the IJF rules. That will assist you more than anything else in the examination. If you do have other questions, please, I put Mo's email into the chat area. Send those questions to Mohammed, and we will get answers out again to everyone as well. I was able to answer some of the questions today, not necessarily all. And I think that's probably good for two questions.
Thank you. If you have aspiration to become an active judge, please, as Kelly said, the best judges are the judges who know the kata. You all are expert here. We all on this table, we have all that done our Nage-No-Kata. Nage-No-Kata has changed a lot. If you have any questions, please ask. If you have any information you need, go to IJF or Judo Canada. Our Judo Canada website is going to have an icon for kata. We will have a lot of information, everything regarding a kata national team, kata judging, kata seminars, kata calendar of events. So that's is on the works right now. And you're always welcome to contact any of us, as I said earlier, for any questions. But a good judge is a judge who knows the kata inside out. You got to know kata better than the people who perform it. If you don't, then we cannot be the best judge that we can be. So continue studying it, continue practicing it. That's how you get better. Thank you very much for being here today. I'm grateful. Lovely to see a lot of familiar faces. Mr. Kamstra, good to see you. Mr. Daniel, everybody, good to see everybody. Mr. Duncan Sensei, Mr. Berger, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Hopefully we all see each other soon on the mat or the next Zoom kata meeting. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much, everybody. Merci beaucoup, tout le monde. We'll see you all again soon, and we will have the recording available out to everyone as well.
Merci beaucoup.